it's getting worse. It's like you can't live through 70 years of repression, dispossession of other people without it making you numb.
We would learn about, the brave, valiant soldiers of Israel and, how they were role models to not just us, but also like the whole Jewish community.
I was on the Mavi Marmara on the Freedom Flotilla of 2010. We were trying to break the illegal blockade on the Gaza Strip. We were attacked in international waters. Within an hour, they had killed 9 people.
I want to say this to this country's friends all around the world. Many of you have worried that Canada has lost its compassionate and constructive voice in the world over the past 10 years. Well, I have a simple message for you. On behalf of 35 million Canadians, we're back.
We were intercepted by the Israeli Defense Forces. We were on international waters, and we were apprehended with gunboats. There are times in life where you see a situation that needs attention, and you feel that somehow you are the person who should be doing something about it.
I've been involved with Israel since the late 1960s. I was not completely naive. Like, I knew that the way Israel was established was through conflict with the Palestinians. Palestinians were driven out. I knew that.
At one point in my life, I recall having a really strong desire to join the IDF. The way that I understand myself being in this world is almost entirely through a Jewish standpoint.
In Jewish schools and other settings like Jewish summer camps, Jewish youth organizations, there's a lot of programming that develops a very positive attitude about the military in Israel. People come from Israel, sometimes in uniform, sometimes they're veterans and they talk about their experiences. And I would just say it's very consciously built into the culture.
United Jewish Appeal, UJA, held a webinar on the 4th of June 2020 about joining the IDF.
Israel has such impunity, right? Israel can do almost anything. People in the government, they have their own imagery about the moral quality of Israel and how important it is to support that.
Deborah Lyons, the former Canadian ambassador, held a pizza party on January 16, 2020 for Canadians serving in the IDF. No country can recruit in Canada for a foreign army. One small exception, a government can recruit its own nationals who are not Canadian nationals. There's absolutely no doubt that the Israeli consulate has been advertising for people to join the Israeli army, and they use the terms such as, if you have not done your service or wish to join the army.
Regardless of party, the Canadian government will only shift if enough people become vocal about the importance of supporting human rights for the Palestinian people and for disallowing illegal actions like recruiting Canadians to go over and fight for the Israeli Defense Forces. And I am also very concerned about the impact on the people who are actually engaged in the kind of treatment of Palestinians. The traumatization of people who are engaged in violent actions against a civilian population who have no way to defend themselves.
When they shot Iyad al-Khalak in East Jerusalem, and all of a sudden parents of autistic children in Israel said, what if it was my child?
The death recently in early December of a 15-year-old, the day of his birthday, when his community was engaging in a peaceful protest against the further theft of their land to enlarge a settlement, and he was shot in the abdomen. What does it do to the person who fired the shot?
Do people in Canada know that this is going on? I don't think so. Do they know that there's this active enticement of young Canadians to join us foreign military? It does atrocities, and it's been that way for close to 75 years. So it should not be tolerated in Canada as a kind of civic thing the Jews do. They teach their children to grow up and join the Israeli military. No, that should stop.
I don't think it should continue. The IDF is an inherently violent institution, and participating in that sort of participating in the displacement of Palestinians and the murder of them is an entirely reprehensible position to take.
What we do as Israelis, what our government policy does, is a crime against humanity. We were brought up as Israelis with the history of the Holocaust and being told how the world was silent. I can't be silent when we're doing the same thing. I would say to a Canadian, a young Canadian person who's being lured into serving in the Israeli army, don't do this. Don't be a war criminal. Don't go against your own country's laws, but apart from this, be a human being. Before you come here to drag Palestinian children out of their homes, come and see who these Palestinian children are.
Israel is one of the biggest violators of human rights in the world. Living in Canada, I lived under the ideals of human rights and dignity for all.